Hi, besties. Welcome to the podcast where we're all friends because we love all things Bravo, pop culture, and can't stop talking
Having
about
too
it.
much fun.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Bravo should be fun.
I'm Caitlin Marshall, your host here at Besties by Bravo. Allegedly allegations, where we're in a safe space to gossip, share our thoughts, and opinions
That girl's a liar. That girl's a liar.
about the Bravo celebrities, shows, and celebs we love, hate, and
that's when
love
Chef
to
goes,
hate.
Oh, suddenly now you're so religious?
So be cool. Don't be all uncool.
He went on a podcast claiming he had a threesome with two women from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Immediately, I was like, I wonder if it's Brandy and Carlton.
Because sometimes things may get a little, well, ridiculous.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. There's a spider that is coming down. Hold on. Oh my god!
It's like the Blair Witch Project or something. All you can hear in the background is, oh my God, has anybody seen my ring?
Oh my god.
I don't want to ruin the party or anything.
Have you seen my ring? Oh my God, can you look on the floor for my ring? God, someone's gonna kill me.
Don't mess with me because I will come.
What? Oh.
Feel free to leave that in for whatever entertainment purposes.
I'm so glad you're here to enjoy the fun. So, thank you for joining me on Besties by Bravo. Hi, besties. Thanks for joining today. We are here to talk about Vanderpump Rules. Georgio, thank you for joining me for our weekly Thursday.
Thanks for having me.
Always. I was I think we all were a little trepidatious about this premiere.
Mhm.
I have to say that I saw Rolling Stone called it a big flop. And yeah, which was pretty intense of a reaction to this. Which also, by the way, friends, if my face is moving weird at all, I got my Botox done this morning.
You know, I was actually thinking I need to get a refill.
Mhm.
I'm starting
Got-
to see a little more movement than I like.
Yeah, we need to freeze a little bit. And I got the lip flip, so I'm like, um,
Which, by
You
the
know-
way, I'm like
Mm.
astounded they can do that.
yeah, I'm probably going to switch over to like the teeniest, tiniest bit of filler to the point where I don't want anyone to ever be able to tell, only because I don't want to be having a needle put in my lip every 4 months because that shit hurts. I don't like it.
I now know how to do my own with the micro needle.
Which we do not advise.
No, we do not do it at home.
No.
That's my own choice. However, I haven't done it in a while because, when you keep doing it, you don't completely lose it. So sometimes
Yeah.
when you keep refilling, it just kind of starts to look a little odd. So I've laid off, but
Well, you look
always
fabulous.
need to have my Botox.
Yeah, I mean it's how we stay young. Okay. So we're going to there wasn't a ton of gossip after my Tuesday show and I just kind of feel like we could pretty much just jump into this. I felt like the juiciest stuff we got was really from the after show for Vanderpump Rules where Ariana was saying she thinks Billy Lee practically pretty much lives in the home that is both her and Tom Sandoval's home. And interestingly enough, Billy was like, oh my God, no, I don't. We're just very good friends. So whatever. And Tom saying on the after show that he thought Ariana was, being performative in her anger. I think regarding him still living in the home and her saying she felt unsafe, I think he's misinterpreting her definition of feeling unsafe. I don't think she is saying she physically feels unsafe. She feels like her world is unsafe with that man sharing her space, which is understandable. I don't know what other word you could, maybe uncomfortable, but
No, it is unsafe because you're emotionally and psychologically unsafe knowing
Mhm.
that the person that you despise so much for doing what he did is residing in the same space and you could run
Yeah.
into them at any given point.
I mean, it truly was horror film stuff seeing both of their respective rooms.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on, you guys?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but I understand if you're living in a room that's not meant to be lived in as an apartment, I can understand how it would get little.
That house is pretty sizable. You guys have other closet space. Like, why is everything hanging on the dresser and on the bed? I mean, I know they
Yeah.
both travel a lot, so they probably don't stay there as often, but you have this full
Mhm.
house. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we open up with Ariana making her own dumpling latte because that apparently is how we're going to show girl power. I
yeah,
mean, I have no problem with it, but it's also like we could have probably chosen a more interesting opening scene. And I get the symbolism, especially the dumpling latte, but we could have maybe gone a different way. What I found hysterical is that painting in Brock and Sheena's house. Sheena is gonna Sheena, and she Sheena'd the shit out of this episode.
Sheena was going to make sure that even though this was traumatic for Ariana, she's going to make sure that everyone knows how traumatic it was for her.
Absolutely, because it's about
Yes,
Sheena. James
always.
and Al yeah, James and Allie's house in Burbank. Listen, it's a cute house.
It
That
is.
home is I think he bought it for over 2 million. I don't think people grasp what that they do, but they don't. What it's like trying to get any form of real estate in Los Angeles area. And I've lived very near to the Burbank airport. Oh my God. Don't go look it up because I didn't do the best job and it was a long time ago. But I remember trying to record an audiobook in my apartment and I ended up having to go to a studio all the way out in Santa Monica instead because you can in North Hollywood even you can hear every single airplane. And it was it's loud.
Listen, I said on my podcast yesterday because I had made a post. It was like a meme of a girl putting lipstick on. There was like an earthquake, and people were DMing me. They're like, "At least he bought something." And I'm like, guys, first of all, listen, the house that Jeff and I live in, there's a train that goes through the
Yeah.
town. So 3 times a day, you hear it, but you get used to it. Like, it's
Yeah.
a big deal that he even bought something.
Yeah, you weren't shaming that. It was just funny.
Yeah, well, it
It's
is funny even still because I'm sure that happens.
yeah, truly. Katie shows up to Ariana's house and she's like, "It's like a floral shop every time I come in here." And she's like, "Oh, well, that's for my birthday." And she lets us know that they made Penny, their chef, the COO, and they got their sandwich shop designed, the interior decor by Nancy Meyer's production designer. And, I think it's incredible that they are using the same woman who, from what I understand, came up with a lot of the menu for Vanderpump restaurants. And I think it's amazing how this show started as a show about bartenders and waiters, servers. Excuse me, I missed an opportunity there. How dare I? But Lisa has been big about letting them spread their wings. She's been very supportive of their own endeavors. She wants to see them succeed and be restaurateurs, entrepreneurs like she and Ken. And I think that people don't pay attention enough to that. And they think Lisa is just constantly worried about the show when she's also been very instrumental in trying to uplift them to be their own business people. I think that's pretty damn cool.
Well, I mean, it also puts more money in her pocket because rest assured she gets a piece of that pie
I'm sure she does.
as an executive producer. I mean, that's how these shows go.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
but at least the reality about it is that we're not leaving them as like servers and bartenders, right? The point is like
mhm,
they are supposed to grow from that. They shouldn't be still working at Sir. If they were still working
exactly.
at Sir this far in, I think we all would have tuned out.
Truly, because it wouldn't be believable.
No.
If they were still trying to pursue things like acting, modeling in their 30s, yes, it's believable that they would be working at a restaurant. That is the reality of being an actor in Los Angeles. People are, having a series regular on a show. And then as soon as the season is over, they're right back to waiting tables, even if they're in their 40s. So this is not unusual. It may seem unusual to the general public, but regardless, I think it's just a really nice growth.
Listen, a
Anywho.
job's a job's a job. And
Yes,
when
honey.
you're doing stuff like that, you need a job that's flexible. And being a waiter, waitress, bartender, server is the most flexible that you're going to be able to get. And it frees your days up to go to auditions. Listen to me, I'm not even an actor and I know what's going on.
Right. Well, for the most part, I mean, I even had to leave a job one time because no one would cover my shift when I got a call back. And I was like, nah, y'all, I am not in Los Angeles to be walking angry housewives in the valley to their goddamn table. Okay. Thank you very much. That is not what I moved here from Oklahoma for.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. See ya. So then Ariana is explaining how she and Tom communicate through his assistant Anne, and she started her podcast. I mean, everybody's got a podcast. Here I am sitting here doing my own, but I guess they called it We Signed an NDA, and it's not just the assistant Anne, but she did quit. And poor Anne. I saw a preview for next week where people are like, "Oh my God, Ariana's so rude to her." No, Ariana was not being rude to Anne. It's already uncomfortable. And it's Anne asking Ariana about Tom having a party at the house for his birthday. And she's like, no, he trashes the place and people will stay there sometimes till 6 a.m. She wasn't giving Anne attitude. She was giving attitude to the idea. I just want to make that clear. And this is not going to be all about, oh my God, Ariana is God. She's queen. We love her. It still is like, people are trying too hard. They're reaching at this point.
I think the issue is going to come for Ariana is that because she got all of this love in terms of monetary gain, and if this continues, because I'll be honest, I'm just going to say this now. I don't understand why she cares whether or not Tom still lives in that house if he's going to buy her out. If you really want to get the hell out of there, then take the money and go move on with your life. But being salty because why should you have to move rather than him? I get it. But keep it moving along, please. Because if he's buying you out, it's fair and square. If he can afford to do that, yeah, write the check. I'll be out of here in a heartbeat. Give me a break.
The thing is, it actually wasn't that great of an offer. He keeps trying to say it is. He was like, yeah, I offered her 3.1 and we bought it for 2,005. Okay, one, he was including the closing costs in that. And two, they bought that home in 2019. The market value is completely different now. So on top of that, if she were to want to go and buy something else, she wouldn't even get a tenth of what she has now. Like she might be able to get a maybe not so great 2-bedroom condo. And that's where, and especially with the interest rates, it's just kind of, he's not offering the best deal, but at the same time, yeah, I get it. Like if you just want to be rid of him, I do understand that. And I of course, I don't know, y'all. I'm quite capable of being a petty Betty, and I might be petty as hell, especially if I'm receiving mail from the mistress. Because also, let's remember when this was filmed. They started filming like in July, I think, last year. They had to start a little bit later because of Tom's tour. But that being said, I think that, it was still too fresh. And if, yes, she's moved on with someone else, and she did move on pretty quickly. I'm not negating that either.
11 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the only thing I just hope for her, that she has given herself at this point in time, as where we're sitting. Oh my gosh, I almost said January. In February, which is Georgio's birthday month. Hello. Uh-huh. I hope she's had whatever therapeutic practices she needed to move through this a little bit more than jumping into another relationship. So listen, like I said, I am going to not be bowing down at the altar. That is Ariana. However, I just have to think about it also from where I would be. And you better believe I'd be petty Betty as hell. Like, unless you're
Sure.
giving me 10 million,
Like a little bit, but like at what point? You already are in a full-fledged relationship. So
Yeah.
what if you can't go buy the same size house? Do you need the same size house if you're by yourself? Can't you get a starter condo just to you're not even home that much. Look at the way you have your room set up. Like it's disgusting. I'm just gonna say that. And also, I wouldn't be walking on eggshells around her the way that some of these people are because of the fact that she cut them off. Well, then cut me off. Like, would she act the same way? Like, if the shoe was on another person's foot, would she be cutting people off? I don't know. I mean, it just seems like she's expecting everyone to just.
Yeah, which is hard. You're on a show and there are certain things that have to be done. And, I do, it's like there's this part of me that's like, okay, have we hammered it into Sandoval enough? Like, has he not had it enough? And I'll be like, at a certain point, it has to stop. But then he does shit like go on Nick Vial's podcast and act like an absolute, just arrogant, ignorant asshole. And it's like, come on, man. Do you want anyone to be on your side? Because he's so defensive. And, of course, he's like anticipating the show coming out, but learn how to just step back for a minute, take some PR training, something, because he's just making it worse. He's making it easy to remember that we don't like him, because that's the thing too, is like once there's been enough time, we can kind of let things go as people who are not directly involved, but he is not doing himself any favors right now at all.
I mean, there's no guarantee that even if he changed his way of working, if you will, that people would still come around, because we see that happening with Erica Jane right now. She's been acquitted from a lot of the things that she was accused of, and people still are like, she's a con artist. I don't care what anyone said. Like,
yeah, no, that's true.
Of course, that behavior doesn't make it easier either.
No.
I just think that, like, how long are we going to piss all over this man when people have moved on, quite literally moved on?
When he stops acting like an asshole, that's
when. Or when she moves out of that house and it's not a big thing in her face all the time that she has to deal with.
Yeah, I think she was ordered to stay in the home for another 4 months, stay in the home, quote unquote, while she's currently I would say currently temporarily residing in New York because of filming. Oh my gosh, because of
Chicago.
Yes. Oh my gosh, where's my brain right now? So yeah, she is still stuck for a little bit longer at the very least. Tom made his poor assistant Anne glue the penis flute back together. I mean, it's like, this was in 2023. How do you ask a woman,
hey, can you glue this little dick over here back together? It's really important to me.
Let me just tell you something right now for everyone listening. If I were her, that would not have been the only thing I did. I would destroy everything in that house. I would burn it to the ground. There would be nowhere for him to sleep. So she was actually really nice.
Yeah, she was.
Considering, I'm just saying.
Yeah. James and Allie. James is so thrilled to have his own home with his own pool.
Like, look at me, Sandoval. You and your little dirty cocky cock don't have a pool anymore.
And he says that in confessional,
I think I've made it clear my feelings are hurt. I mean, even carrier pigeons have told Tom James' feelings are hurt because you were having an affair with his ex, and also, like, shut him out of the entire group.
And then when he says also,
I've seen these god-awful performances, shirtless, shouting out Raquel's name and itsy bitsy spider, and once upon a time I dropped a phone out of the pocket and someone picked it up. Like, a good God, man, get a hold of yourself.
Also, James, come on, man, get a hold of yourself. Why do you care that much that he had an affair with Rachel? I can understand at the beginning, but of all people, it's time to move on from it, James.
If I was Allie, though, and he was still going on about that, I would smack the shit out of him and be like, listen, you clearly are still hung up on her. Otherwise, you wouldn't be you're happy, then you don't care. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If you moved on, then move on. This is the
why
thing
do you care?
Past. I feel like they really hold on to things for a very long time. I just could not listen to the same shit over and over again.
Yeah. We go over to Sheena and Brock and Marina Del Rey, and they're talking about everything with Sandoval and how his childhood best friend, Ali, passed away not long before filming. And I guess, this I can understand from Tom Sandoval's perspective. You will never hear me say that probably again. But he explained on the after show that the reason he was pissed is he's like, every day I'm going on Instagram and I'm seeing them talk. They were literally talking about him every single podcast. Hi, me too. But I wasn't texting him saying, oh my God, I'm here for you, whatever you need. I'm thinking about you. But they also did have to reach out. Like, you can't just not reach out after something like that. But I think Sheena bringing up Ollie's brisket was a little out of context, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of like, why are we talking about his brisket at the okay. And then Sheena says that Tom blocked her on all of her accounts. She was like, first he blocked me on my account, then he blocked me on my podcast, Shenanigans, my sister, and then Summer Moon, as though Summer Moon is running this account herself or something. Like, I'm so sorry. I love seeing photos of people's cute little kids, and Summer Moon is so precious. She doesn't need her own Instagram account. Like,
these kids, I said this on my podcast yesterday. Get these kids off Instagram that have no access or control over their likeness and image. And I'm not saying that from a monetary standpoint. I'm saying that from a traumatic standpoint.
Yes.
Also, there's a lot of weirdos out here, and you're just putting a whole account up about your child is really, I'm not a parent, so please take my advice with a grain of salt. Half a grain.
No, I agree with you.
But I just wouldn't. I couldn't see myself sitting there posting and putting my child out there. What if Summer Moon grows up and she's like, despises being seen on that level? And we're not talking about you or I posting, because not that we don't have a platform, but Sheena's platform,
it's a different level.
Eyes are just going to automatically go there, and you don't know who's watching.
Well, and then writing the captions for her. Yeah. Because she's also like writing the captions, quote unquote, as Summer Moon or whoever is. I don't like it. I'm very sorry. I don't like it. And as a parent,
this is not just about Sheena, by the way. I'm saying across the board, she's not the only person that does this, where they make and let's be honest, people don't want to talk about it, but you're doing that to monetize your child.
Yep.
It's another check, and that to me is disgusting. Sorry, I don't care.
I mean, like, look, if you're doing it, whatever, because it is about monetizing, and maybe you're putting it away in a 529, getting that college fund going. But at the same time, you don't know what your views may be completely. This is one of my things too, is that my views, my political views, my spiritual views, just my opinions may be the exact opposite of how my child will feel someday. And for him to have that on the internet forever, I couldn't do that. You won't ever see me posting a picture of my child on my actual like social media accounts that are anywhere associated with this, because I don't want him thrown into that world. I don't want him subject to any of that. I have my own personal account, but I'm not going to be writing captions speaking for him. My God. Anyway.
First of all, if you are setting that up for a college fund, then that child paid for their own college fund. Don't ever say that you paid for anything, because they earned it with their image and likeness from baby to like 18.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we had a deal. My child is signed at a modeling agency for all. I mean, he's cute. What can I say? I'm biased though. And he
is
never
really cute.
Well, thank you. He never gets auditions, but we kind of went into it with the stipulation that any money, if he did book something, any money he made from that was going to go into the 529, so that we didn't want him funding a single thing for us while he is literally tiny. And he hated auditioning the one time because oh my God, like sometimes casting directors, it's like, you can tell when they're not parents. They had me like put him in his crib, and he's supposed to be like reaching for me while I'm filming like away from him. If anyone knows a toddler, you put them in the crib even when they're tired, they're usually like, get me the fuck out of here, you asshole. What are you doing? And so he was pissed, and I was like, I'm not doing this. I feel too bad. I can't. You're getting what you're getting, people, and we're done. Like, no. So I don't
monetize my dog, because I can't do that. I just can't, because unfortunately, like, dogs don't live as long as us, and I would be heartbroken to have to make that statement to a bunch of followers that follow my dog. I see it all the time on TikTok, and it like breaks me.
I never thought of that.
It triggers me so much. I have to like
I get
I
it.
just can't deal with it. Can't.
I get that. In confessional, Sheena's like Sandoval, I get it. You're mad at me. You block me. You hate the podcast. You block shenanigans. But you're going to go and block Summer Moon. I don't know how you could block that adorable face. And Sheena tells Brock about how Raquel, because at this time we were calling her Raquel, extended her stay in the treatment center and that she was doing a full 75 days. We go over to Lala. And Lala and her mom are talking about this ball pit that they got for Ocean and how she hides in it whenever it's time to change her diaper. Let me just tell y'all, parents, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those ball pits are so fun the first 15 minutes, but once they are throwing shit at your face, they're throwing shit everywhere, and then they're shuffling their little legs around trying to make the balls come out of the pit. And, we got one for my son's first birthday, and he's 2.5. We are still finding multicolored plastic goddamn balls under the sofa. And we cleaned that house. I'm sorry. I think I was triggered by the ball pit.
I just don't understand what all these gadgets are for your why do we need all these things?
Oh my
Also,
God.
you're in
Because
an apartment. Is that conducive for the
Georgio,
space?
we need all of the things. Anything that will keep them occupied that is not them watching the TV, you get. Mhm.
Okay, fair. But
McCoy
that
has his
sounds
own
like an
kitchen.
absolute nightmare to have to deal with the aftermath just for some
Yeah.
time to yourself, though. No?
Yeah, it is. We got McCoy this. It's actually pretty and has this herringbone backsplash on it
Oh,
kitchen,
that's cute.
and it has a little ice dispenser, all of it. And I don't know who bought it. It sure as shit wasn't me. But one of those Montessori entire grocery food things where they're velcroed together and they can use a plastic knife and cut them in half. If you knew how many halved lettuce, halved hot dogs I have dodged being thrown at my face, and he would just pick up the whole basket and dump it. Guess where that thing is? It may not be in the trash, but it's where he has no idea. I'm telling you, sometimes your better judgment just goes out the window when you're like, oh, he'll love this.
I probably would get myself into trouble with that because quite honestly, I'm saying, no, that's ridiculous. But I would probably be like, oh my God, yes, he needs this.
It says it's Montessori, so it's good for his brain, okay? Or it says STEM on it, so it's good for his brain. And you don't do the math on that type of math. That's called toddler parent math. And that math never maths, even if it is completely accurate, okay? Lala's analogy for her family is that they're like a pod of orcas. You just add to the pod, no one ever leaves.
Interesting.
It was unique. I think it's amazing that her mom and brother help with Ocean so much. It truly does take a village, y'all. But I guess Easton moved into the same apartment complex and she lives with her mom. And so the dating is not happening right now. Although we did hear she's working on conceiving a second child via a donor.
IUI, yeah.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And good for her. I'm really loving Lala more and more. This episode for me really solidified the growth that she's had in her life, considering all the crap that she kind of walked into. And even with the Randall stuff, she's doing something about it and she's using her voice in a different way. And I really also loved that her mom picked up from Utah and moved in with her.
Hell yeah.
And then her brother followed suit because I just think she's sober now and she still has a lot of things that I'm sure trigger her. Let's be honest. And it's nice to have that support system there to keep you in check and help you and give you love authentically and not have to worry, are these my real friends? Are they my TV friends? Are they really there for me? So it's nice to have that center balance. And it looks good on her.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of hell from a lot of friends for a while for liking Lala. And did I like her when she first popped onto the scene? No, I was like, who is this bitch? But now I do. Now, we'll get into my thoughts as well on the whole thing with contacting Rachel and And she does talk about the custody issues with Rand and how he didn't want to give her full custody, but he's giving her final say on education and health. And she's like, well, that's all I want. I don't give a fuck about putting her on Vanderpump Rules, which I think is fantastic that she's still winning points. And the thing is, because Lala didn't get her moment last season of really being like, hey, I'm going through something traumatic, because obviously what ended up happening instead, we're really going to get a lot of it this season. And then I think that's where it gets harder for her, with Ariana still receiving the love and support that she feels that she needs. And she keeps I feel like she and James are still never like our A team. And it's kind of a bummer sometimes, because they absolutely have all the qualities to be A team, but they just somehow still never quite they never fully let them into that. You know what I'm saying? Like that top
It's
podium.
I think it has a lot to do with when they came on, they were both very juvenile.
Oh God, yeah.
And at some point, I mean, they were both banned from Watch What Happens Live for quite a while for being an absolute mess. But that was immaturity, right? Immaturity meets fame, immaturity meets a lot of attention, and that it will bring that out. I will say that they're both equally deserving of being front and center. Like,
Yeah.
James has proven through many mistakes, but nonetheless, he's grown. He bought a house.
Yeah.
He's taking his life seriously. She's done the same.
Yeah.
She did go through something traumatic
Agreed.
while being on the show, and it
Mhm.
deserves the same attention. I'm sorry, like, we cannot have this whole season be about Ariana and walking on. If it is, then it will be a flop, considering Rolling Stone called it that. But like, I didn't think the episode 1 was a flop. I was actually
I didn't
pleasantly
either.
surprised.
Mhm.
Because I didn't know how they would pick up from that
Right.
aftermath. Where do you go from there, and how do you pick up the story?
Well, what did this is kind of where I'm like, well, what did everyone expect them to do? Number one, the first episode of any season, that
always
we have to gain information, we
Yeah, you
can't
get
just,
caught up.
yeah, that's why things like pilot episodes for scripted television, they're really difficult, because you have to provide so much information and have as much action as possible to keep attention, which is obviously what I feel like they were doing whenever they kept intercutting little bits of the Scandoval of it all from last season, because they're trying to remind us, like, look, this is why you're back here. This is why you're watching, is because this explosion from last season. But we wouldn't be interested if they were all immediately screaming at each other. That's exhausting to watch. We were all I want to remind everyone how fatigued a lot of us were after that third part of the reunion, because
Yeah.
it was exhausting. After the finale and then those 3 episodes, it did get exhausting, like, to have that much vitriol nonstop. So let's just enjoy a few moments of getting the information, seeing where everyone was at immediately after, and go from there. You know,
I wasn't expecting this to be like anything more than it was in terms of bringing us up to speed over the last 3 months that we didn't see or hear from them, which was a well-needed break for everyone, because
Yeah.
I was sick of it. Like I said, I barely wanted to touch the Rachel podcast, because I was just like, I cannot. She's still talking about it. We're still talking
Yeah.
about it. The show is clearly going to depict the aftermath of it, which is fine, because that's reality. But
Mhm.
it's hard sometimes to know if if the cameras weren't around,
Mhm.
would Ariana still be in that house? Would she be this upset still because she's moved on? Or is this playing? I get it. You're on a TV show and reality blurs with real life sometimes, and you don't know when to separate the two. And I think because they are a genuine friend group, they all lean into their parts on the show. And I think sometimes the viewer feels like it's a put on sometimes. Like, I got a lot of feedback like, oh, it's clear that they're creating their storyline
Well,
for the season, but everyone does that though.
yeah, you have to do that. That's like we're saying, like that first episode, it has to set the precedent and also give us all the information. because then we get confused later on when they're talking about something. That's why we get those intercuts and things like that. We're going to have callbacks later on in the season to different moments that happened in this first episode. And we just listen, y'all, it's been almost a year, which is astounding to me.
I can't believe it's been a year.
I
It's so
know.
crazy how time flies, you guys.
It's kind of terrifying,
Yeah.
to say the least. You know what scene I actually liked though was the scene between James and Schwartz, and I'm still
Yes, I did too.
Schwartz. Now he won some points on the Nick Viall podcast by being early, by holding Tom barely more accountable than I expected, but he still really was a Tom apologist. So believe me, I did not miss that. But he's really going on his tour right now. Again, he's trying to set his precedent, separate me from Sandoval. How he says in confessional, like, I have to look in the mirror and tell myself I'm not Tom Sandoval. But Georgio, I don't know if you even have the answer to this question. What is it with what is it with straight men? They baffle me. That they couldn't. Tom Schwartz gets James these two pretty lovely housewarming gifts. A candle, which is very difficult to buy for someone, in my opinion. It's very
personal.
difficult. And a plant, because Tom Schwartz is a botanist of sorts now, I suppose. He's, got a hothouse in there pretty much, because that's how I imagine it probably smells and feels in there with the pet bugs. But James immediately is like, bro, oh my God, it's like citrus pissing. Why? What is so threatening to your masculinity that you can't say, oh, that smells really nice and very citrusy? No, it has to be citrus piss.
Because my view, and I'm around enough straight men in terms of like they're married to my sisters and I have a brother who's also straight. It's like this uncomfortableness with being homey, if that makes sense. Like a candle, a plant. It's kind of like girly to give that stuff. So he has to somehow butch it up by saying like citrus piss instead of just being like citrus lavender, and like you don't have to get all girly about it. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like a great candle smells banging either way. Like who's mad at a candle? Like I have so many candles.
Oh my God.
And when we bought this house, the candle budget went through the roof because I'm we have more spaces that need more candle. Like we need backstock. And Jeff has his plant shrine in his office. And but that's the perfect gift. I thought that was such a fantastic, thoughtful gift.
Because a woman lives with him too. He's not just buying leather and sandalwood.
She wants to smell. Okay, sorry. Adam, I thought he said citrus pussy.
They did eventually. They did. They did. Because they had to butch it up even more.
Answer, like, what does citrus pussy smell like?
Like summer's eve.
Okay, never used that, so that's not
me either. But, ladies, no offense. Sorry, summer's eve, but that is not very good for you. You shouldn't.
I heard it's not good to use those things.
No, it screws up the pH. Trust me, that's just no respectable gynecologist will tell you that it's good to use that stuff. Just letting you know.
Be the name of a new Tom Ford fragrance, citrus pussy. I'm just saying, I'd buy it.
Citrus pussy by Paco Rabanne.
Oh my God, could you imagine the commercial? A lemon peeled vagina? I can't.
Running with cheetahs in the Amazon.
I think we have something here.
We do. Marketing geniuses. Who is ready to hire us?
Hello.
We sit us down at that round table. We're ready to bounce off all those ideas.
Listen, I could be bouncing ideas off about everything all day long.
Don't get us started. Yeah. And then give us a glass of wine and those ideas get even better and bigger.
Oh my gosh. Citrus pussy.
Tom says that, I'm sorry, Tom Schwartz says that the Schwartz and Sandy's hat he's wearing right now is the first time he's worn it since Scandoval, and that the biggest fight he'd ever had with Sandoval up until all of this was over the name of the bar, and that you have to hold yourself, to a different standard when your name's on the side of the building. And James is like, well, maybe we should start calling it Schwartz and Jamesies. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I did laugh my ever loving ass off at the Yelp reviews that went up immediately after Scandoval. Uh-huh. They were
They were
hysterical,
funny,
but we went too far.
but it absolutely went too far. The fact that people were taking time out of their day to just go there to troll people,
Yeah.
get a life. It
Yeah.
is not that deep. These people were going in hordes just to
Yeah.
get a glimpse or try to troll one of them about something, or go there and purposefully create an issue to then go, like, it just got too
It was out of control. It was unhinged. And doing things like harassing the servers. First of all, those servers, can you imagine you are getting to work at a bar that is being featured on television on a big show, on a big network. And this was something you're going, I'm going to actually start making some better money working at this place. And then this happens. That was not your fault. You had nothing to do with it. And people are skipping out on bills. They're doing graffiti in the bathroom because guess what? The Toms didn't have to clean that up. It was the hostess or one of the servers or busboys who had to go into that bathroom and wipe off your freaking NARS lipstick that you wasted on the mirror. So there are
I
ways.
wouldn't be cleaning any of that shit. I would be calling the Toms and be like, get your ass down here and clean your shit up, because I don't get paid enough for this.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a waiter.
Yeah, well, there was more than one time that I encountered really horrifying customers. I got yelled at very intensely one time for not, when I wasn't even a server, I was a hostess, for not bringing salt and pepper to the table for another table that I had not even seen or met. And I said, oh yeah, let me get your server, because if you are a host, you're not allowed to touch anything food. Jesus, it was like, she screamed at me at the front of the restaurant, and I
need
just
to get
stood
this
there
off
like,
my chest since we're talking about this. When I was working for, I was collaborating with a beauty brand who was inside of Bergdorf Goodman. I was in there one day, and I'll never forget this. They had like bathrooms, obviously down on the basement level, and a gentleman did not have the best interaction with whoever he was working with down there. And I remember he went into the bathroom and defecated all over it, not in the toilet, but everywhere else around it, and walked out and told everyone that he had just defecated and good luck cleaning his shit up. And I will never forget that, because it takes, and this was a grown man, by the way. It wasn't I was like, oh my,
no, that is a shit
different
stain on your
level
mind.
of like, this also makes you look bad too. Like, I don't know why you thought this was like gotcha, but it was like, I'll never forget it. But it reminds me of, like, obviously nobody hopefully was going into Schwartz and Sandy bathrooms and shitting all over the mirror, but like even the graffiti, the lipstick, like, how old are you? And like,
Right.
what is that doing really? What did you get accomplished?
Exactly.
Ariana still
Nothing.
doesn't care about you.
She may have went, oh, huh, and that's
Or
it.
didn't
That's all
care
you
at
got.
all. Like, you guys went on a limb to just support her. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't really care.
No, she appreciates it, but it's not that. Yeah. Schwartz apparently told Sandoval that after what they put everyone through, he'd better spend the rest of his life with Raquel. And the thing is, Schwartz really did have a shitty year with his brother's health, his father's health. He got a divorce, and then this happened. All he really had left was that bar and his friendship with Sandoval. And it just goes to show you how little regard Sandoval does have for the people in his life when it comes down to it. He may be that person who shows up and decorates and gets everyone pumped up for your birthday, or who will pick you up in the middle of the night if you need to be bailed out. But that's not everything that makes you a good human being to have any type of relationship, friendship with. being a good human being is also giving a shit about someone aside from yourself, because 9/10 of that, guess who it makes look good? Just Sandoval. It doesn't make anyone else look good. Sandoval worries about making himself look good. And that's where a lot of it was just so very self-serving. And that's where it gets frustrating when people do want to defend him, because once we all had the wool pulled over from our eyes with Sandoval, we all went, oh my God, no, he really is an asshole.
Mhm.
Now, this isn't going to be all about bashing him. We've made this clear, but and y'all also know how I feel about Schwartz in general. I think he can be a verbally abusive dickhead masquerading as the nice golden retriever puppy dog. And I don't buy a lot of his nice guy act, but I appreciate it when I feel like it's genuine. I feel like half of his conversation here with James was genuine and half of it was him trying to be like, please do not think I am lumped in with Sandoval, considering he knew from the get. He knew the day after they hooked up. So, spare me some of that. Oh, but Schwartz is such a nice guy. Nah. I'm sure he's lovely when you meet him.
We're gonna see the real Sandoval this season. That's what
Yeah.
I feel. I think up until now, he's been playing a role on the show, and we got to see the real narcissist that he is, because I'm not a doctor, but that's some narcissistic shit if I've ever seen it.
Mhm.
And that whole scene with James and Schwartz, that was James just giving him grace. I bet the producer set that up. I don't think that James would have on his own opted to go hang out with Schwartz. You could tell Schwartz was trying to get into good graces with him
Mhm.
so that he could slowly get into good graces with everyone else, because he knows that everyone's going to shit on Tom and he doesn't want to be the
Yeah.
other one iced out.
Well, and James even said as much, that he understands what it's like to be the pariah in the group. And that was a moment that I really did appreciate between them. It's like
Mhm.
the actor brain in me was like, oh, that was a real moment in the scene. But truly, I felt that was a moment they looked at each other and they finally connected, I think, for
Mhm.
real for the first time. And, James ends up saying to Schwartz, you're the best version of Tom when you're just Tom and not Tom Tom. And oh my God. And then Schwartz does an impression of Bill Clinton in his confessional. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. The way I have been comparing Scandoval to the Bill Clinton and Monica, excuse me. Schwartz, are you watching? Are you listening? That's where you got it from. I know. It's totally from me. My voice even went into Elisa Barlow and that by accident. James being
I know.
California sober though.
I'm
Uh,
down.
mhm. Uh-huh. I'm glad to see he's not drinking anymore at all. I think maybe because he has an addictive personality, let's chill on how often we're smoking weed, because it's kind of a dangerous territory if you're replacing alcohol with weed. But I have a feeling weed agrees with his demeanor and his chemistry a little bit better.
So, as an avid devil lettuce
Yeah.
partaker, I will, and I'm just speaking from my own experience, because obviously there's different strains and they react to different people. There are some people that are just like, absolutely not. For me, it calms the storm that's going on inside my
Mhm.
head, and it allows the other part, the creative part of my brain, to open up more so that I can focus on those things that I can manage and create and inspire me, rather than sitting. I'm not saying like I sit here and smoke pot all day, but like when he
Right.
said I smoke in the morning, I smoke after the gym, and I smoke at night, that's just like anybody else going out 5 million times a day for a cigarette break.
Yeah.
They're getting a release from that. And that, yes, he has an addictive personality, but I feel like alcohol brings the rage out of him,
Mhm.
whereas the weed probably gives him more of a like centered
Mhm.
approach to things. But I agree. Anybody who's got an addictive personality has to monitor anything. But I think at this point, weed is like, it's one of those things that it's either for you or it's not for you.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I think he smokes a lot more than he
Oh,
said he does.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who's tried it plenty of I say tried it. I've smoked weed plenty of times in my life, but I get very tired and I get very self-conscious and I just want to go home and go to sleep.
I wonder if it's because are you doing a sativa? We don't need to turn this into like
No.
a
Yeah.
screen thing.
No.
But yeah, I mean, that's my point. Some people, it doesn't do
No.
anything for them in that way, unless they are going to just sit at home and just like veg out. But you
Right.
obviously can't go out and
DJ and do things. Yeah. Sheena and Ariana go get a couples massage. Did you notice that the spa director straight up, Sheena did not exist. She only looked at Ariana and only spoke directly to Ariana. She knew all about Scandoval. And okay, so the only thing that I'm a little anxious about regarding Daniel when he's brought up between them is he's a bartender and a personal trainer. And I feel like Ariana, if dating another bartender, and I'm not saying that a bartender is beneath anyone. Please do not take my words in a different way than I'm saying them. It feels like we're going in a different direction than what maybe we had envisioned for her in that sense. But I think that I already know I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, whatever. But I'm not talking down on bartenders.
It's not, we're not belittling the fact that he's a
No.
bartender and saying at the stage that she's in her life.
And being a public figure, I just get nervous about the idea of someone having to field people coming into their bar and wanting to talk to him about it and things like that. It does not make sense. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Well, the whole thing is I'm not 100% there with this guy. It's a little convenient
And
because
he's very nice. It's only because we love Ariana and want good things for her. It's not, and he could be perfect. I don't know.
Maybe, but time will tell. The fact that he's so comfortable to jump on this show, though, that says something to me. Listen, I would be a little bit thrown off if I was on a show like this and met someone new and they were automatically comfortable to just be filmed for the show. I would look at that a little bit and be like, why? Not even like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what the angle is. And these are just rumors and alleged, but there's Reddit out there about this guy and his previous relationship. So I'm just saying.
What are the rumors?
The rumors.
Yeah.
But she's deflecting, in my opinion. She doesn't want to deal with the trauma. It was a lot. Agreeably, like I wholeheartedly agree. It was a lot to throw at someone on national television at that, to have it exposed that way. However, she's got to do something about her trauma if she really wants to be in a health. And I'm not saying this guy is like, she's going to marry him. This could just be a rebound, but it's been going on for about a year.
Yeah.
So
that's a while.
It's not that much of a rebound, right? So, but who's to say? I don't know. This guy could be amazing. And maybe he met the right person and just never seems to work out that way, especially on reality TV. We've seen this with other cast members from other shows where they meet someone and everyone's warning them, be careful. Yeah. And then it's like, no, he's great. And then like 6 months later, it's like something comes out that, oh yeah, we were right, you know?
Well, I think that's where Lala was setting the precedent of being nervous about him. I'm sorry, just lost my train of thought. Oh, well, that's okay. The girls are finishing up with the massage, and we find out that Sheena actually isn't drinking alcohol at the moment because she's been put on Zoloft. She was diagnosed with OCD. And let me say this. Postpartum OCD, I certainly developed postpartum OCD. It is a real thing when some part of it is traumatic or something. If you experience some sort of trauma in your life before you got pregnant, the hormone crash, everything that comes along with it, that's actually quite common. Now, we can't blaming the OCD on Scandoval and then now being scared that Brock is going to cheat on you with Lala was like, Sheena, Shishu, this shit ain't. Now I'm going to get, I have a little bit of an impediment when it comes to saying SH words. So saying too many in a row, I can't even say it. Anyway, but Sheena's gonna Sheena this and make it completely about her instead of taking the moment to say, hey, postpartum OCD is an actual thing. And postpartum actually lasts for over 2 years after you give birth. That would have made sense But instead, we're blaming it on Scandoval.
But this is where I was like, okay, enough. Like, go back into the studio, girl. Like, put it in a song or something. But like, do not make this your whole storyline this season, because I will literally like. Well, I won't do shit. But like, I'm just like, it's just like, come on, like enough. Like, I wonder if the producers are just like eye rolling every time she goes into one of those bits. Like, are you serious, girl?
Like, for
But
real.
she's serious.
I want to take a moment to say hi to Adam, Danielle. Hi, Miriam. Thank y'all for
Hello.
joining. Okay,
Not
this
paid
part,
by anyone. I like that name.
that's Miriam. We had to figure out for whatever reason it shows that. But
Oh,
okay. This part cracked me up. I'm sorry. I will give it to Schwartz that I loved his sense of humor about this, because when Sheena's asking Ariana if she's talked to him and she's like, no, I haven't blocked on everything. And in confessional, or I'm sorry, she says it was because of after Schwartz being on Watch What Happens Live and saying that, just Sandoval needed a hug. And Ariana says in confessional, I don't remember what I texted to Schwartz, but I don't think it was that bad. And then we cut over to Schwartz and he's like got his phone out and he goes, it says, fuck you, blocking your number, go choke on Sandoval's dirty ass dick somewhere. And then he just starts cracking up and he's like, Jesus, for the record, I've never choked on Sandoval's dirty ass dick. Listen, he's been conditioned for this with the rage text he would get from Katie.
well, he's totally used to it. I don't think this impacts him the way it would probably impact someone else getting that mess. Like, I wouldn't
No.
be fazed by that, actually. Like, that's actually nice.
It really was. She could have said worse.
Yeah, I would have laid into him like full throttle, but like, that's just my
Uh-huh.
crazy Aquarius side.
Well, and my crazy Scorpio Sag side just goes full throttle.
Which
Takes a
shout
lot.
out. It seems that the Aquarius folk out there, let me know if you're Aquarius out there, if this is happening for you. We are standing in our power this time around. I don't know what's going on. Crystal is like coming for Dorit, clapping at her. I heard she had her foot on her neck at the reunion. She was red.
Good.
She's activated. We are all activated out here. So
Y'all sure are.
we are not taking shit from y'all anymore.
Y'all are activated. I have more than one Aquarius that I am very close to in my life. And let's just say, y'all are on one right now and you are ready. You are confident and ready to go, girl.
We are not taking it anymore.
No, you all wake up in the morning and just immediately. Dun, 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 dun.
We're like,
Let's
who's
go,
coming for us
girls.
today, bitch?
Uh-huh. Oh my God. Then again, Sheena and Lala getting ready for Tom Tom, and Sheena's blaming her weight loss on Scandoval. Everyone thinks I'm on Ozempic, but it's actually
No,
called
they don't.
Scandoval.
No one thought that.
They do. A lot
Do
of
they
people.
really? She was
Yeah.
never that heavy. So
No,
what is
she
the, like,
after giving birth, she is exceptionally tiny right now, though. I don't think she's always been itty bitty and fit. She's always looked amazing. She is the smallest I think we've ever seen her. For sure. You can tell by her face she is.
well, she always, but this is the thing though. She's always had that she has a lot of like bone structure that's prominent on her face already.
Yeah.
So for her to be losing this amount of weight, if she's using Ozempic, that's ridiculous, because whatever little baby
Yeah.
weight she had left was nothing for her to have to go to that extreme. But I mean, if you like it, I love it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, living in LA, telling you, I'm about 25 pounds heavier than I was when I lived in Los Angeles. And people would look at me now if I were like, oh my God, let me do some Ozempic. They'd be like, go fly off a bridge, Caitlin, because it's ridiculous. But, again, you like it, I love it. Did you notice how many freaking slow-mo shots we got of the cast walking into establishments? And then we get
People
Schwartz
film
carrying.
them on their phones. Did you see that? Everyone's
Oh my
like,
God. Like they're just, but Schwartz, his is in a schleppy button down carrying a Ralph's grocery store bag. Like, Schwartzy, come on.
I have to be honest, when I was watching this episode, I was like, the producers and editors went back and watched The Hills. This
Oh,
is feeling like The Hills, but with interviews. If The Hills had interviews, it'd be the same show. Are you joking? First of all, I think I've said this before. The Hills was the only reality show where you knew what the hell was going on without them doing those interviews. I don't know how the hell they did it. but they did not use interviews back then.
Well,
But
they'd
this,
stage
the
conversations a
slow-mo
lot.
entrances and the like 1, 2, 3 times to get it right. You could tell they were like, "Can I do that again?" Like, you just know. But also the onlookers, I'm glad they're leaving that in because it's like, I like that we know that they know that they're filming a show and they're talking about it in the context instead of pretending like we don't think that they know they're on a show.
Yeah. Like we're breaking the fourth wall now. Like we're
We know what's
done.
up.
Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah. Like stop trying to pull one over on us at this point. It was really sad, the intercut of the first time Katie and Ariana walked into Tom Tom compared to now, and how Ariana ended up sitting in the exact same spot on the night that Sandoval's phone fell out of his pocket. And Schwartz, he was just too awkward the way he did this. And if he had done it a different way, I think it would have made Ariana look too harsh. He instead, when he goes up to the table, instead of saying, "Hi, Lala. Hi, Katie," he should have then said, "Hi, Ariana," then, "Hi, Sheena." But no, he only comes up and goes, "Hi, Ariana." And it's Schwartz. You blew it. Just keep it nonchalant. And she was not having it.
I
At
didn't
all.
like the way she handled that, and I don't like the way she's being about it. I said this on my recap. There's nothing wrong with saying hello back. No one said you had to sit there and conversate with him or give him the time of day, but saying hello to someone who says hi to you and acting like that to me means, I don't know. Like, I get it. It's a sore thing, and
I'm
I
really
don't. I
trying to
try
think
to
how
put
I would
myself
be.
in her shoes. Would I be able to? I don't know, you guys. It just feels a little bit too much.
I think what it is, and is something that she ends up saying when the girls are at the den for their girls' night, is that she does not want him to think he has an in back in with her because she knows he is just wanting to be okay with her. And I personally, I'm really trying to put myself in that position and I'm already raging, but internally. But if that happened and the best friend who knew from the get, who I considered a good friend as well, I don't know. I don't know that I would have said nothing, but I would have been like, "Hi." I would have given all the attitude in the world. So the more I think about it, I probably would have been along those
I mean,
lines.
listen, obviously I'm not in that situation, so I don't know for
Yeah.
certain. I would like to think that I would at least be able to be like, "Hi," but who knows? I might have gotten up and threw my drink at him as soon as he said hello. Like, the audacity of you to even think you could speak to me, piece of shit. Like, I don't know. It could go either way.
Mhm.
I just felt like it was just the whole thing, that whole Tom Tom scene to me was a little peculiar because it was like, why? Obviously, production picked the same spot.
Yeah,
Because
it was a
why
bit
would you
contrived at that
go?
point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also, she wouldn't be going to Tom Tom in real life if
Hell
the show was
no.
not filming still. Like, so obviously, we know that she needed to be in that situation because then it would she'd have a reason to bring it up and be like,
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm sitting in the same seat. Like,
I mean, it seemed
then don't
genuine
sit
for me
there.
though from her. Yeah, I feel like
No,
it was
I
definitely
think it
genuine.
was, but I just felt like, why didn't you go sit on the couch?
I mean, here's the thing. Let me say this. I remember I dealt with really intense bullying in high school, and my favorite Tex-Mex restaurant in Edmond. I had a girl who was older than me call me and just traumatize the shit out of me before I walked inside with my mom. I could not go back to that restaurant for a very long time. And so now I was much younger. It was definitely a different situation. However, I can actually that's the only way I can comment my opinions at this point is from my personal experience and really putting myself in there because I feel like this season we're going to have to be doing a lot of that as content creators and as podcasters so that we're not because we are tired of the same thing over and over, but so that we can authentically go, hey, maybe I wouldn't care about this, or maybe I would actually care. It's going to be a lot of that. So I'm at least what I'm noticing so far for myself, because that's where I have to kind of I guess put myself in their shoes. Otherwise, I can't have as much of an honest opinion about it. Because when we do get those flashbacks of how Ariana was so supportive of him through all of this, that was pretty, it was heavy. But then Lala pulls LVP to talk to her, and she tells Lisa that after her cooling off period, the moment at the end of the part 3 reunion where Rachel was in confessional saying she had no one but Tom, she understood, Lala understood that feeling of isolation. And I'm not going to lie, that moment with Rachel, it broke my heart, not in the sense that I felt incredibly sorry for her and her actions, but she looked like such a broken little girl to me in that moment. And uh, I can understand where if I had been Lala screaming at her, I would have felt bad, even though I would still be like not angry, but still be like, nah, you done fucked up. I still would feel bad after that. Oh,
Helps to
you're
not
muted.
dude. Yeah. What I liked about this was it was another moment of growth for Lala because she was able to look at her situation again from the outside
Mhm.
perspective and say, yeah, when you lay it all out, it's the same, babes. Yes, the
Loved it.
details are different. Yes, it probably wasn't intentional on Lala's part to do that. However, the chips fell where they did, and she was able to, in that moment, be like, wow, I really went ham on that girl, and now she's in a facility. That's shitty, and I'm no better when you look at it from the outside. So let me connect on that level, and that's growth. It's not
Yes.
saying we're going to go out and have coffee and be besties, but it's also respectable and accountable for her to at least acknowledge that it was overkill.
Yes.
But again, they had a short time frame to know this happened
Mhm.
from when they went to the reunion. So I think had this played out in the season and there was
Mhm.
some time for the episodes to air and then film, I don't think it would have been as explosive of a reunion because, people wouldn't have
Right.
been as emotional.
Amped up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and just when people getting angry at Lala for, contacting Rachel in that time and things like that, or they have issues with Lala saying, "Oh yeah, well you were the same." Lala will turn you on your head there because she says in confessional, when you lay it all out there, when she was called a home wrecking horse, she's like, it's true then. And I'm sorry. I know, like I said, a lot of people are it's Lala's a little bit polarizing. And, even later on when she says she's a Sour Patch Kid, I fully see that that's who she is. A lot of people are the reverse.
Listen,
But
I would want to be friends with Lala at this point because I know that she would keep it straight with me. She wouldn't sell me a bunch of bullshit down the river. She'd be
Mhm.
like, no, that's not cool. Or yes, I love that. And she speaks up and she's her own person. And I appreciate that rather than
Mhm.
her being afraid to say stuff because, ooh, everyone's going to be upset with me. Like she doesn't, I like her. I don't give a shit attitude
Yeah.
about
I
it.
I appreciate that in people personally because, especially as a female, people pleasing is something that is really ingrained in us. And I'm not saying it's not ingrained in men and boys as well, but it really is ingrained in women. And we are a lot of times incredibly vilified if we're like, no. I don't like what you're saying, or no, I'm not showing up to this party. I don't want to go. It's really difficult. Even friends of mine who I feel bad when they say, "Oh, I've got this and this going on. I'm so sorry. I just feel like my social battery." And I'm like, honey, no, don't explain anything. A man wouldn't explain to me that his social battery is drained after going to 2 parties over the weekend. You can just say, I can't. No, I've got stuff going on. So here, maybe another time. That's where I appreciate that. So I'm picking up what you're putting down. Katie and Sheena agree that they want to enjoy hanging out together. And Katie tells her that she wants to feel as though she can trust Sheena. And I thought this moment, it was a small, teensy moment of growth for Sheena to apologize to Katie about telling Schwartz what was going on in Katie's dating life. But y'all, we know Sheena is going to Sheena and completely negate all of this crawling back and clawing up she does. Okay. So they plan their girls' night for the next night, and Lala goes to the back alley of Tom Tom. It's not our Sir alley, unfortunately. I think that's them also setting the precedent of we have a new alley, okay?
I don't
And
think
not
they do Ellie
not
like
alley. Yeah, doesn't hit the same. Just doesn't. And she sends Raquel or Rachel a voice note saying, "Hey Raquel, I'm sure I'm like the last person you expected to hear from. I hope that you're doing okay. I don't know if you're back in LA or not, but I'd like to have a conversation with you at some point if you're open to that. Hope to talk to you soon." And she like this part was a little bit much where I'm like, you are not about to throw up and shit your pants, Lala. Come on. You're not that scared to send her a voice note. The part that I would be feeling that way is then having to tell Ariana that
maybe
you
that's
did that.
what that was.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Because
Yeah.
I think honestly in this scene, I feel like right after her scene with Lisa was like, why don't you go and talk to her?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
she doesn't expect you to be the one. And maybe she'll be enticed to come back to the show. And then Lala's out there like, okay, fuck. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
I know I'm going to get shit on for doing this, but we got a show to make. And my boss just told me to do this. That's what it felt like to me. I don't know if she would have gone out there, and maybe she would have on her own time, but I don't think at that moment she would have done it without being enticed by a producer. I think Lisa was the one
Agreed.
that was enticing her to do it.
Well, we know they wanted Rachel to come back, of course,
Yeah.
and that they would be crazy not to want her to come back. But I think that's a brilliant point that, yeah, of course, if anyone was going to possibly be able to get her to come back and feel like, okay, I can do this, Lala would probably be the one to do it. Because I'm going to tell you what, if I'm walking in anywhere and I know that Lala is going to have my back on something, oh, honey pie, I am fine. Not a problem. That's cool. It's like I wouldn't be nearly as frightened personally.
Well, no, because she was the big bad wolf at the reunion to her. So if the big bad wolf is now coming and being like, I'm just checking in on you, your guard will go down immediately because that's the main brunt of everything that you received.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna skip over the Katie and Schwartz scene. Like,
I don't care about these insects that whatever.
No, God. So they're at girls' night at the Den, and oh my gosh, I have had many fun nights at the Den. That is nostalgia for me. Katie is telling Ariana how Schwartz was saying that he misses Ariana, and Lala starts to bring up Sandoval, and she's like, "Okay, let's play devil's advocate." And Ariana's like, and she says in confessional, "The devil doesn't need any more advocates. I'll just say that." And Lala says that Schwartz has to unlearn the mental abuse he took from Sandoval over the years. And Ariana is saying that she's only just started her own journey with that. Now, I don't know. I don't know that I saw necessarily mental abuse. Now, those cameras are only there for 3 months, But I did see Sandoval display narcissistic abuse, which I know it's, buzzword narcissistic, what have you. But the abuse coming in from narcissists isn't always so obvious and direct. That's why I'm saying I think it's more along that line. I am not remotely educated in that, so don't.
I don't know. I feel like Schwartz has the type of personality that any strong personality that can be manipulative would absolutely rip into him just because they want to shake him to the core so that they have him do what he wants. And I so see Tom calling him or going to his apartment without cameras, obviously, and laying into this guy and bringing up stuff about stuff that he's done as collateral.
Because that's what Tom Sandoval does.
And that's what he does, right? He brings up stuff out of the blue because guess what? This person didn't do what he asked. And you know what? That could have been a point. This is where I think Schwartz is failing. If that were me after last season, I would never speak to Tom again. And I would make it such a strong point to be like, you screwed the business up. You walked away, went on tour, and did karaoke cover songs while I sat in that restaurant getting trolled, having our place demolished by consumers and people that were coming in treating our staff like crap because of you. I don't want to have anything to do with you.
the place that helped facilitate my divorce, that has me in immense debt, that has me now essentially living in this apartment. Now those apartments aren't shitholes. I actually almost moved into them, put the deposit down and everything. It was very like cave-like in there. And I said, nope, not doing it. Goodbye. But that being said,
He's not the
it
best
was
decorator, and it
oh
just
my
makes it
God.
more of a cave feel. Like I just
And the after show showing all spots in his apartment, I was like, hire someone. You have the money to hire someone.
does he
Please.
though? He's got family that is sick, and don't think for one second they aren't leaning on him to help pay
Oh, of
some of those
course.
bills. So the divorce, and divorces are expensive, as we've learned through talking about all these people in
Yeah.
reality TV specifically. But like, no, I wouldn't have. I would cut Tom Sandoval off, at least while the cameras were on.
Give it a minute. Let it take a real beat.
One good season of just you're not getting any of this.
This. You know what? I just realized you don't deserve me.
Is anyone Tamara Judge to Vicky Gumbelson? Okay. That's a throwback for you. So then Ariana says that, for example, when it came to Katie, she had always wanted to get closer to her, but she couldn't until now because Sandoval would always be telling her to be careful. And then Lala asks her if that's how it was with her because she doesn't know if Ariana likes her or tolerates her at times. And I'm going to be honest, I think that was a fair question because I think Lala can be a lot for some people. Absolutely. She's a very
Not for me.
right. You know, like
I love it.
you and I for the most part, we can handle that, right? I think
Yeah.
for some people it just is too much for them. Just like how I know I am too much for some people. I have had people tell me I'm the most intense person they've ever met and I'm like, "Are you sure?"
Have they met me?
Like
Are you
me
kidding?
though? I'm like, I can be intense, but
You are the
damn.
least intense. Like
Oh, I've
that's
been
wild.
and then I've had when I've brought that up, I've had other people be like, "Yeah, you're pretty intense." And I'm like, "Well, shit."
In
I
what
don't know.
way?
Maybe
I
my
don't even think I've ever
rants.
heard you raise your voice. Like I am a natural screamer, for God's sake. Like I scare people away if I talk too loud. Like, oh God, something's wrong.
I don't know. I mean, I am a loud talker too, though. Just I have a microphone right here. So then Ariana tells Lala, "No, I like you. Oh my God." And I can tell Ariana does feel bad. And Lala's getting really emotional, saying she's actually the Sour Patch Kid and she's very sensitive behind closed doors. But, you know, she's been a dog in everyone's fight and she's really left to defend herself. And that's something I can resonate with because I find myself, I've talked about how I have this issue where I tend to be Lil Miss Justice Warrior for anyone who I feel like is being mistreated. And then I get drawn into things sometimes. And I can understand that feeling. But all of the girls are really like tearing up with Lala on this. And I felt like this was a really important moment too, where Ariana looks at Lala after she hugs her and she says that she's sorry she didn't trust her judgment regarding the Rachel and Sandoval of it all. I think that was huge, personally.
Yeah, it was because it shows that Ariana was not paying attention. If we recall, there was a scene, they didn't show us the aftermath of this, but when because Lala does what the producers ask, and she's very vocal about that because we're doing a show. We're not here to mince things. She went up and brought up maybe Tom lied about, no, he did lie. And then Ariana goes off on all the people there. Like, I'm not doing this. We don't ever try to make me like paint him in a bad light. Right. Which I get. You're in a relationship. I wouldn't take that shit either. But in hindsight, she was right. And she was onto something. And I think Ariana sees that. And I think I don't think it was Ariana not trusting her completely or not wanting to get close to her. But I think she also looked at it like, look, Lala's game to like do whatever.
Yeah.
Not whatever, but like bring stuff up and ask questions that maybe she wouldn't ask otherwise. But so she probably kept her at a safe distance in terms of not letting her in too much because she probably didn't know where it would go. And I think now she feels like, okay, I can trust this girl. Like she's not.
She didn't have the ulterior motives in this case.
No.
And then this made me nervous watching Lala go ahead and do it. I mean, she can be so goddamn fearless sometimes. I'm just like, woo! Because right after they hug, Lala goes, "I need to be very, very honest with you. Like, the last 5 minutes of the Raquel thing, there was one thing that she said in that, sorry, my notes are a little wonky here, which was, if I don't basically follow what Thomas told me, I don't feel like I'm going to have anybody. I'm feeling like I don't want her to wear this for the rest of her life. So I want you to know, I sent her a message last night, and Ariana and Katie's face both at the same time is just completely priceless. But Ariana makes a really good point in her confessional, which is that for that better part of the year, Lala, she was like, fuck off, Tom Schwartz. Anyone who speaks to my ex, we're done, period. So here's the thing. Lala was pretty goddamn trapped when it came to Randall. He was where she relied on him for her place to live at that time. She has a child. It is a different scenario. Okay. And yes, the players are different and it's similar, but different. And so I think Lala is it's just a little bit different. And to be honest, I feel like Lala's was justified in a totally different way for being upset at anyone interacting with Rand, because it could jeopardize.
I thought we were thinking about this. Like, I didn't agree with that. Like, is that what you're saying? I didn't agree with it being hypocritical because it's not the same situation.
Right. No, yeah.
Okay.
So she made a good point about it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? From her standpoint, I think that it's a fair point. However, Lala is fighting for custody of her child. And you don't even have to be a parent, but I mean, just the mere idea, if I don't feel that my child is safe with someone and I would have to drop them off with that person. And then also, if I have any friends that are going to be friends with that person, oh my God, what if they're giving information to that person that I need to be kept to myself? And I'm not saying like anything that's, I don't know, lascivious or what, just sinister. I'm saying, if I don't want someone to know about my life and I have a friend going and hanging out with them, I feel like it's just different, especially because it involves a child. So I think this was all just a little too fresh still, but I feel that I appreciate that Ariana didn't fly off the handle or say she was shutting Lala out either. That I want to also remind everyone as well. Then they all try and explain it. And of course, Sheena makes it about her because Lala's saying, yeah, you know what Raquel did was fucked up. I completely get that. And she understands why they're all upset about it, because they really felt like Rachel was like their little sister. And Sheena's like, I was like Raquel's ride or die. And in confessional, Sheena's like, I feel like if the only thing Raquel did wrong was fall in love with her best friend Sandoval, then maybe one day we could have still been friends. But the bitch put a temporary restraining order on me, and that changed everything. And again, it's this next moment that Ariana explains, look, with some people who reach out like that, they are looking for a foot in the door and there's no foot to be had. And that's what her biggest concern with all of it is.
But Rachel didn't reach out to Lala. Lala reached out to Rachel. So this is not that. And so I'm sorry, if I was at that table, I probably would have not been liked by any of them, because I would have been like, Sheena, this is not about you. Katie, get that look off your fucking face. And Ariana, stop. That's not what this is. If Rachel had reached out to Lala, then yes, that would be absolutely understandable for her to say that. That's not what's going on here. And if you are worried about that, then maybe you shouldn't be friends with Lala if you think that that's what she's going to do.
Well, I think what's being missed here is that this Lala reaching out to Rachel wasn't about Tom and Ariana. It was about what happened between Lala and Rachel.
Yes.
So
things.
Yeah, I think that's where some of this is getting lost in translation, because it's all still so fresh to this cast.
It's been 3 months.
That's not long enough. Not long enough. I
know, but 3 months after, you should be able to have a little bit of logic to like understand. Like, Ariana's in another relationship. So if you're still hung up on that still, then why are you in this relationship? There's one. Like, Sheena, is not even remotely the reason why you're dealing with what you're dealing with. It's just convenient because it's easy for you to just follow the trail and say, oh, it's all because of Scandoval, the weight loss, the OCD, the this. And it's like, no, there's way more to this than just the Scandoval of it all.
Yeah, I think that maybe Ariana is moved on from the relationship. She's not moved on at this point of filming from the betrayal and the hurt. And the
Don't be in a relationship.
well, hey, let her get
I
some
mean,
if she
she's going
wants
to
to
do
get
whatever she
some.
wants. I'm just saying you can't be on both sides of the fence. You can't be like, I'm so happy with this guy. And then over here, like, I don't fucking care. Like, at some point, yes, you do have to move on. Yes.
Well,
Sorry. Like, this happens to people all the time. They're not like, we can't just, and those people that stay in that are bitter and jaded. And I don't think that of Ariana, but I think, I don't know, you guys. Like, I'm not team Ariana. That's not what this is about. I get a little worried that we're gonna hold on to this and excuse everything because this happened to her. And that I'm not gonna buy into. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not gonna excuse anything Ariana does. I'm not gonna not pull something out and say I didn't like that she said that or don't agree with this because Tom cheated on her with Raquel. Like, yeah, it was shitty, it was awful, horrific. But
I understand. I think remembering this too, whenever you're going through something major, like, for example, pregnancy, a wedding, a divorce, being cheated on, finding out something traumatic like that, it tends to feel in that moment like you're the only person who's ever experienced it, even though
sure,
you're not. And
sure.
I think that's part of where that may be where she's still trying to work through it because again, we're coming on right on the heels of it.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where this goes, and I think they were wise to hold off on having Sandoval actually on the episode
Well,
in
he was
terms
filming
of
the Special Forces show, so he wasn't even
right,
around for the first week of filming, so
right, but I think they could have totally it didn't have to be episode 2 that he
Sure,
showed
sure,
up,
sure,
and I
sure.
think it was wise that they didn't because, I think people weren't totally ready to just, you know, be right in the middle of it.
Mhm.
Okay, friends, I just before I wrap up here, I don't believe I know I won't be going live for sure on Tuesday next week, and I'm not certain I'll be able to go live on Thursday of next week because I am going to be in New York, going to watch What Happens Live on Wednesday and going to see Chicago on Broadway with Ariana in it on Friday. So I'm going to do my best. Just keep an eye out. It may be just like some quick little, you know, pods on things. We'll see what happens, what I have time for. And I mean, I'm staying right in the middle of the city, so it may be pretty damn noisy. But I go hop on over to the Georgio Says podcast here pretty soon. I'm not sure when you'll be releasing it, but I will be joining Georgio for a recap on Miami, Real Housewives of Miami.
Comes out tomorrow.
Okay, comes out tomorrow on Friday the 2nd. And go follow Georgio. Georgio Says on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Please leave a 5-star review. It's free and it means the world. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell. Again, it means the world. And follow me, Besties by Caitlin on Instagram and TikTok. And it's Besties by Bravo on YouTube. But aside from that, my friends, I might see you next week or I might see you the week after. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.